What happens when one of the most renowned mod authors makes his own mod list? Well, you get Gate to Sovngarde, which is in my opinion the best mod list that has ever been made for Skyrim, and it's not even that close. JaySerpa is a seasoned mod author, and he's been around making mods for over 10 years now. That's right, this guy's mods are so good, he put them in his own list. So today I'm going to go over the 5 reasons why I believe Gate to Sovngarde is the best mod list that you have access to. Speaking of access, accessibility is something that is overlooked by quite a lot of people when they're making these large mod lists. If you don't have a super NASA computer, you're going to struggle to run things like Endorse. And while Gate to Sovngarde has 1900 mods, which sounds like a lot, the total install size comes to around 60 gigabytes. Minus the downloads. Most of the huge mod lists that you see on Wabberjack come to 5 or even 600 gigabytes. Not everyone has that much space spare on their PC to be able to run a mod list, which is fine. If you need this much space to be able to make a mod list, that is completely acceptable. But Gate to Sovngarde does not ask you to do that. Most of the 1900 mods included in this mod list are just patches and fixes, meaning the mod list is incredibly stable. My experience with GTS has been infinitely smoother than pretty much any other list that I've ever played. In about 100 hours of playtime, I've crashed maybe 5 times tops. But that's all well and good. We get it, the game runs very nicely, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space on your PC. But that's not why I'm installing mod lists. I think most people install mod lists because of the graphical upgrades that they offer. And from a side-by-side perspective, GTS doesn't look anywhere near as crisp as some of the bigger mod lists out there. But I would argue that's where you're wrong. GTS does go for a much more vanilla plus look, but in my opinion that complements the list so much more than the biggest, flashiest mods that you can find for visual upgrades. This does in part lean into a little bit more of the accessibility side of things, but this also makes it run so much smoother on lower to mid tier systems. One of the main distinguishing features in this list compared to the other ones is that it uses community shaders instead of an ENB. And I don't know if you've been following it recently, but community shaders is making huge steps. With all of the bells and whistles, community shaders looks better than some of the lower end ENBs, and that's just objective. GTS uses community shaders perfectly in my opinion. And if you want the option, it's always there, you can swap it out for an ENB if you so like. But onto possibly the hottest take of this video, I really don't think graphics matter too much in a mod list. And this is probably where I'm going to disagree with the majority of people. You're not going to match the crazy looks that some of the bigger mod lists get, but this mod list still looks absolutely amazing. I think GTS does the best job of capturing what Skyrim realistically would have looked like if it was made today. It has updated textures so everything looks much clearer, none of those dirty textures that are in the base game. JaySerpa also managed to get northern roads working completely seamlessly, and there are still massive mods that add a ton of stuff like vegetation that just make the game look prettier. But if you're still not convinced and your stance is, so if the graphics aren't as objectively good, why is GTS still the best mod list? Well, moving on to the biggest point of the video, which is the depth. Everyone throws around the term living, breathing world, and it only really feels true in this mod list. As you play through the game, you'll realize that everything starts to interact with what you've been doing. You kill a dragon, and there is a massive festival in Whiterun celebrating that. Guards will now actually recognize you as the Dragon Slayer, because that was missing in the base game. But there's also subtle features, like immersive death cycle. You take out a wolf on the road, and you go back a day later, the wolf will be decaying, or if you've left it even longer, it might be a pile of bones. When you're in a scrap with a bandit, and they drop lines regarding your race, your fighting style, and tactics. And this is the same for stuff like vampires and the Dawn Guard as well. There's been massive changes to followers alongside that. They'll react to what you do and what maybe your other followers are doing as well. They might react to what's going on around the city, or to what quest that you might have just completed. Overall, the biggest difference between GTS and other mod lists is that it has depth, it has a goal. JaySerpa had a plan in mind when he was making this mod list. He had an idea for what he wanted and achieved it perfectly. When playing other lists like Novus, and I keep bringing Novus up, there's no hate towards Novus here, I'm just using it as an example because it is a popular mod list, but how they compare is so drastic. GTS feels like a tailored experience. Novus feels like a mashup of cool things. GTS has progression with your character, and real stakes to fights and decisions that you might make. You go in unprepared to a fight and you come out with a broken leg and you don't have a way to heal that broken leg, you're going to be hoddling your way home. You don't bring enough health potions to a fight and you're going to feel that. You go into a mage's lair and you don't quite have enough magic resistance, you're going to get completely disintegrated. You take a massive swing from a huge warhammer with a giant orc behind it, your skull is going to be destroyed. There are real stakes in this mod list, and that is very important. It makes your decisions actually matter. Another example of a mod list with this much depth would arguably be Lorim. Lorim is incredibly complex, and it reacts to your actions the same way that GTS does, and people praise it for that. So why not play Lorim instead? Well, that brings me on to my next point, which is simplicity. As a whole, GTS isn't hard to understand. Whereas for Lorim, I've seen people whip out spreadsheets and make entire character guides with specific perk points just to get through it, which is great for people that really care about that sort of thing. But GTS, you can waltz through it if you'd like, with whatever perk points you want, and you might not be as efficient as somebody else that has looked into it, but you will make it, you'll figure it out. But don't mistake this for hand-holding. GTS is also very hard. It is not easy in any way, and it emphasizes preparation. The same way that Lorim does, you do need to be prepared for every single encounter that you're going to have. In fact, one of the biggest complaints that this list gets is that it is too hard. Which brings me on to one of my final points. You need to know what you're getting into when you are playing this list. It's not going to handhold you, it isn't an easy experience, and it's not a vanilla plus power fantasy, it is realism. It is in my opinion the most accurate reflection of what Skyrim would actually be like if it was a real place. You need to take this list a lot slower than you might expect. You can complete the base game of Skyrim with literally a couple of hours if you really try. And if you're doing glitches, I mean, that gets out of hand. But this list is intended to be slow. Not gruelingly, boringly slow, but it teaches you to appreciate the small things. I was watching one of JaySerpa's streams, and he mentioned somebody complaining about the fact that it takes 5 seconds to get into bed, put the covers on you, and then fall asleep. If you're going to be complaining about something like that, this list is not for you. In fact, I don't think any Skyrim list is for you. GTS is a list where sitting under the stars next to a campfire is one of the best, most quiet moments you're going to have. You've just fought through that bandit camp, you've got a bit more gear, you made some money from it, and now you need to find your way back home. But first you're going to stop, sit down, make some food, maybe level up, go to sleep, and then head home. Now this might be a hot take, but I don't think that's hard to understand. And while some people might think this is tedious or long or pointlessly grueling and boring, treat it like you're actually trying to survive in Skyrim, and you will feel how good this list captures that realism. Simplicity doesn't always mean good though, so why is this list actually just the best? In my opinion, the best way to sum that up is it has come from somebody who has been in the modding game for over 10 years, and has essentially created his vision for what Skyrim should be. And that might be what all the other mod lists are doing, but in my opinion, this is the best one. This is the most realistic recommendation I could give to anyone if they said, I haven't played a Skyrim mod list before, which one should I try? I'm pointing them in the direction of GTS any day of the week. Gate to Sovngarde is the definitive way to play Skyrim in 2026, and to me, it's completely unmatched.